Okay, hi, good morning everyone. Good morning trainees. First of all, welcome to your Maritime English lesson. I am your teacher for today, Teacher Shelly, and I want to take a moment to personally thank each and every one of you for being here today again and for actively participating in this program. We know that your time is valuable, no? And your willingness to invest that time into improving your skills says a lot about your dedication as professional seafarers, right? And I also want to remind you all how fortunate we are really to have the strong backing of the Gyumyang Shipping Seafarers Union, right? Who made this training possible because they really truly care about your growth and, of course, your future. Okay? And as you all know, from my previous lessons, I always kept on saying that English is the universal language of the sea. It connects you to international crews, right? Whenever there is a multinational crew on board. Also, it connects to the other port authorities, no? And the other rescue teams around the globe. Okay? Now, whether you are reporting a routine maintenance issue, we always use the English as the universal language, right? And also whenever you are reviewing your cargo paperworks, right? And also you're communicating sometimes during a critical emergency like a cabin fire or accommodation fire. Now, here, clear English is what keeps you, your crewmates, and your ship safe, right? So, we always use English as the universal language of the sea. Now, here in our Maritime English course, this is a safe way, I should say, to learn, right? Now, please, everyone, do not be afraid to make mistakes. Okay? But only here in our lesson. No? Because that is exactly how we get better. But please refrain, avoid, prevent committing mistakes during the actual scenarios, especially emergency scenarios on board or situations. Okay? And then we'll just practice speaking as much as you can. And then you just support one another. Okay? And the skills you build here will not only make you safer on board, but will also open doors for your career advancement. Okay? Now, before we begin with our lesson, I would like to thank you again for your hard work and participation. So let's make this a great and highly productive session. Okay? So thank you and let's get started. Okay. Okay. We are now on our 77th day 2 of our Maritime English lesson. Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome trainees. Okay, so last session, we discussed about fire clauses, right? And a bit of the fire emergency communication. Now, fire emergency communication in practice. Okay, this is now the part 2. Okay. So, the lesson contents or the lessons that we're going to discuss today is all about the fire emergency procedures. Next is the SMCP, right? We already discussed this one, but I will just discuss it again about the standard marine communication phrases. And also, I will give different emergency scenarios also. And the fire drills and team communication, and then the practical communication and assessment. And the last part is the 10 questions and answers. Okay? So, let's begin with fire emergency procedures. Okay. Here, the fire response overview. The first thing, okay, is discovering the fire. This fire response overview is a quick and effective response to save lives. Okay? And then, it protects the ship, of course. And it prevents further damage into the cargoes. Okay? Now, once you discover that there is a fire, okay, or the moment you notice the signs of fire, okay, such as the flame, this one, there's a smoke, and there's an unusual heat, or the smell of a burning something, you right away, okay, report it, okay, or raise the alarm. Because early detection saves lives. Okay? Now, once you discover that there is a fire, a smoke, a flame, or an unusual heat, or a burning smell, okay, you raise the alarm is the second step to do. Okay, you activate the alarm or the ship's fire alarm. Okay, and then, of course, once this one is activated, you shout right away, fire, 3 times. Of course, to alert everyone on board. Okay? Now, alarming this one, ensure everyone can respond right away. By merely hearing this alarm, I'm sure everyone on board can respond quickly. Alright? Now, the third step that you will do is to notify the bridge. Okay? Whoever is on duty, okay? You notify right away. You inform the bridge or whoever is on duty. And then, right away, excuse me, report the location of the fire. What type of the fire is. Okay? The size or the severity of the fire. Okay? And whenever or if there's a personnel or a crew that was trapped and on that specific location, don't forget to notify also. You include that within your report. So, clear information ensures effective decisions. Okay? So that whenever you notify the bridge, they will know or they will be informed everything, all the details that you informed them or what you reported them. Okay? Now, next thing to do is to shut the ventilation. Yes. Since the vessel or the ship is what you call this has a general air conditioning unit. That you mean I mean it's centralized. I mean, okay? The air conditioning system is centralized. Okay? We have to shut down the portion or the location where there is fire. You shut it down right away. That area. Okay? You stop the ventilation fans or close the dampers that are supplying the air, okay, to the affected space. Alright? So, cutting off the air helps slow down from spreading the fire. Okay? Isn't it whenever there is fire, there is fuel, right? There is oxygen, and there is heat. So, whenever you shut down the ventilation area, you are cutting off now the air. And since air is one of the things needed to produce a fire, we can right away stop the fire if you were able to cut off the air. Okay? So, shutting down the ventilation is very important. Okay? Now, the fifth step is to isolate the area. Okay? You close the fire doors, your watertight doors, okay? The valves, and the other electrical circuits connected to the affected area. Okay? Why do we have to isolate the area? As I said, we can contain the fire only in this area. Okay? So, by doing this, we can prevent the fire from spreading. So, number 4 and number 5 are almost the same. Okay? Now, the 6th step, the fire party response. So, they are the team who are well-trained, the crew are well-trained to put out the fire. So, this fire party team, they are the designated fire team. They are equipped with the PPEs. They are equipped with a complete personal protective equipment. Okay? And then they have this breathing apparatus. Now, they are the ones, this team are the ones who proceeds to the fire area to extinguish the fire using the appropriate method agent. Okay? Like we have the classes of fire. If it's class A, B, C, and E, and K, I mean. Okay? So, each classes of fire have an appropriate agents to use. Alright, like for the class A, it's made, the source of this are the wood, the paper that was easily burned. So, you have to use a water fire extinguisher for that, and so on and so forth. Alright? Now, so they are trained crew members and excuse me, extinguishes the fire. Alright? And then for number 7, we have this, what we call the boundary cooling. Okay? Now here, if this is the area affected, the other side of this needs to be sprayed with water. Okay? In order to reduce the heat and prevents fire also from spreading. Okay? This is the purpose why we have to cool this part. Okay? This is what we call boundary cooling. To reduce the heat on the other side. Alright. Now for number 8, we have rescue procedures. So after the fire, what we want is there's no casualties or injuries, right? But if injuries or casualties are present, of course, safely search for them. And then, you rescue and evacuate them if there's any or trap personnel on this area. And then, of course, we have to administer first aid. And then, transfer the casualties or the injured crew to a safe location. Because the main purpose of this is to save lives. Protects the ship and prevents further damage. Okay? Now, whenever there is fire, we have to stay calm. We follow the procedures and then we work as a team in order to save lives. Because our goal here is this one. Okay? Remember that your actions can make the difference. So we have to be prepared, we have to be alert, and we have to be safe. Always. Alright? So, is this clear? Now, as we go on, okay, this is a much more clearer explanation. So, the moment the crew member notices this fire, there are signs of fire, okay, or flames, or smoke, or the unusual heat, or the smell of burning, okay, the crew who discovers the fire must act immediately, right? We have to act immediately. How? By raising the alarm. You activate the ship's fire alarm or verbally shout fire 3 times in order to alert everyone on board about the emergency. Alright, and then after that, you call the bridge. Inform the bridge, right? Inform whether through the radio, with your telephone, or whether with your internal communication system. And then after that, you shut down the ventilation. Okay? You have to starve the fire of oxygen. Right? Because, again, in order to create a fire, the fire triangle, first is the fuel, next is the oxygen, third is the heat. So, we have to starve first, or we have to shut down first the oxygen in order to prevent the fire from spreading. Close, in short, all the ventilations. Okay? Shut down everything on that specific area in order to starve the fire of oxygen. And then, isolate the area. You close the doors. Okay? Now, the reason why we have to isolate the area on a fire portion or location is in order for the oxygen to lessen, to keep it from spreading. Okay? Since on a ship, you are trapped out at sea with a very limited firefighting resources and making the isolation absolutely critical for survival, we have to do the isolation process to prevent that from spreading. Alright? Now, next to that is now the response of the fire party or the fire team. Right? So, as I said, they are the well-trained crew members. So, they have their oxygen, they have their masks, they have their helmets, and their PPEs. They done it properly, okay, in order for them to be safe also while putting out the fire. Alright? And then, next to that is what we call the boundary cooling. Okay? So, if this part is the one on fire, the other side of that, which is, for example, this one, we have to cool this down. Okay? We have to cool this down to prevent the fire from spreading here in this compartment. So, we have to put or we have to focus to directly cool it down here by using the water. Okay? So, in order to cool this part, cool down this part. Okay? And then, the last one, the rescue procedures. If in case there is, okay, you right away, the team that is assigned as a rescuer, you excuse me, evacuate right away the injured personnel away from the location to a safe zone. Alright? So, is this clear now? Alright. So, let's go to our SMCPs, the Standard Marine Communication Phrases. Okay. So, SMCP, as I said, was developed by the IMO, International Maritime Organization. They are the ones who developed this standardized set of maritime English terms, words, or phrases. Okay? In order to bridge language gaps. And the purpose is, of course, to prevent miscommunications and improve the safety of the crew, the cargo, and the ship itself. Now, these SMCPs are mandatory for certified mariners under the STCW rules and prioritize the clarity over a conventional grammar. Imagine if there are multinational crew on board, meaning if there are Filipinos and also there are Japanese or Myanmars or Indonesians or Thailanders, Koreans, and Chinese nationals. So, how can each and everyone understand with each other wherein each nationals have different languages? No? That's the reason why IMO developed SMCP. So they developed this maritime English terms, the simple maritime English terms, in order for the whole multinational crew on board can understand with each other. Okay? Even for just a simple maritime English words. Alright? So this is very important in order to prevent miscommunication. Okay? Now, there are different fire scenarios or fire situations on board. One is the engine room fire. This is very common because basically there are equipments here. The engine of the ship basically is here. So, fire is very common in this area. Also, in the cargo hold, fire. Right? Common also because this is an enclosed area. In your accommodation, fire, in your cabins, it's also enclosed. That's why it's also common to have fire in this area. Especially if the crew is smoking here inside your cabin. Of course, the electrical room room fire. Right? Because there are electronics. There are electrical connections here. And then we also have fire under control scenarios, situations, and the fire extinguishers used scenarios. And we also have an all clear normal condition scenarios or situations. And also, there's a galley fire, your kitchen wherein a lot of kitchen equipments are present. So, galley fire, electrical room fire, accommodation fire, cargo hold fire, and engine room fire. All these locations are very common area wherein fire will start. Okay? Now, let's go one by one with the different fire situations. Okay. In the engine room. Yes, this is our engine room, right? For the engineers. All right. Here, this is very common. An engine room fire is a dangerous shipboard hazard, which is typically caused by fuel leaks from the oil coming from the engines or electrical faults. Okay? Now, here, some of this, what do you call this? Some of this parts is often disables propulsion. Okay? And the power systems are coming from all these machineries. So it poses a critical risk to the entire vessel. So this is quite hazardous scenario. Okay? This is the engine room fire. Now, what we do whenever we encounter engine room fire, what we have to do is inform right away the bridge. Right? And then alarm the fire alarm sound, and how you are going to inform the bridge. Okay. Bridge, this is your engineer. We have a fire in the engine room. Okay. We are fighting the fire. Stand by for further information. Over. So, whenever or whoever is the one who discovered that there is a fire, alarm or sound the fire alarm right away and inform the bridge. Okay? Next is the cargo hold fire. This one. A cargo hold fire occurs inside the cargo storage area of a vessel, right? This is the storage area of a vessel. It may result sometimes from heating the cargo. Like, for example, if you are carrying a hazardous materials. Alright? Or maybe from the electrical faults also. Or most especially, there's an improper cargo handling. So, this is basically sometimes a human error. The cause of this in the cargo hold. Okay? Cargo hold is a fire that occurs from the storage area of the vessel. Okay? It may be a self-heating cargo. Or maybe you are carrying hazardous materials. Or maybe from the electrical faults. Or maybe a human error, which is an improper cargo handling. The next one is how we are going to deliver that. How are we going to report that? Okay. So, this is how. Bridge, this is MV Atlantic Endeavor. We have a fire in cargo hold 3. We are firefighting the fire, and then stand by for further information. Over. Okay? Next. Yes. Cabin fire or accommodation fire. Here inside your cabins. Here a cabin fire that starts inside a crew members or a passenger's living quarters, your bedroom in short, on a ship. Now, since your cabins are small, they are enclosed space, okay, a fire here is especially dangerous, right? Since it's an enclosed area. Okay, now, usually, the fire here starts from our everyday things like the wires, no? The wires. And I know 100% of the seafarers are smokers. So, from your cigarettes. These are the everyday things that fire may start or may be coming from. Okay? Since this one is an enclosed area and it's a small area. Okay? That is a cabin fire. Next is, how are we going to deliver that? How are we going to report that? Okay. Bridge, this is your MV Atlantic Endeavor. We have a fire in the accommodation area, deck 3. Okay, we are firefighting the fire. Stand by for further information. Over. So, basically, you are reporting, you are informing the bridge, the location that there is a fire in the accommodation area, deck 3. Because in a vessel, right, there are different decks. There are sometimes 4 to 5 or more decks. So you have to specify what deck area is affected of fire. Okay? Next is the electrical room. Yes, this one. So, like the engine room, electrical room is also like this. So, it occurs in spaces containing electrical switches, no? The switchboards, the control panels, or the generators itself. So, the very common cause of fire in the electrical room is short circuit. Okay? Or overloaded circuits. Or there's an equipment failure. So those are the common causes of electrical room fire. They are all coming from the switchboards, from the control panel sometimes, or by the generator itself. Okay? So how are we going to deliver that or report that one? That scenario. So, as always, you address it to the bridge. So, bridge, this is MV Atlantic Endeavor. We have an electrical fire in main switchboard room deck 4, for example, no? The power to the area has been isolated. We are firefighting the fire. You stand by further information. Over. So, That's how you are going to report. You specify the location. Whether it's in the main switchboard room deck 4, where your electrical room is located, you have to mention that. And the situation. You mentioned that the power to the area is isolated or has been isolated, and you are firefighting the fire. Right? And then you mentioned the standby for further information. Alright? So that is how we are going to inform or deliver electrical fire. Okay? Inform the bridge. Okay. We have galley fire. Okay, this is your kitchen where there is really flame present, used for cooking, right? So, a galley fire is a fire that starts in the ship's kitchen. Okay, now, it is, excuse me, usually due to unattended cooking. There's an overheating of cooking oil. There's a grease buildup because the chief cook or the messman did not clean this area, or faulty electrical appliances. Okay? In this area, in the galley, it can easily spread rapidly if they are not controlled immediately. So, attention to all the chief cook, to all the messmans out there, to always clean the galley area. Never leave the grease build-ups. Okay? Always check your electrical appliances. Switch it off always after using, especially leaving the galley area. This is the chief cook's responsibility to check everything, and also for the messman, the mess boy. This is your responsibility to clean everything. Excuse me. Okay? In order for the grease not to build up like this. Okay? Remember that fire in the galley usually is human error. Okay? It's really human error. Because if we will talk about the faulty electrical appliances, that should be checked always by the chief cook and by the messman. Okay? Now, next is I'm sorry. Okay, next is how are we going to report it? The galley fire. Okay, bridge. This is MV Endeavor. We have a fire in the galley. We are firefighting the fire. Stand by for further information. Over. Okay? So you have to mention the galley area on deck, on what deck your galley is located. Okay? And then, this scenario also, for example, you were able to put out the fire or the fire is already under control. You just mentioned that the fire in the galley is now under control. We are mopping up and checking, okay? One of the fire team is already mopping up and then the other one is already checking. So, you mentioned that the fire in the galley is now under control. We are mopping up and checking. Another is, how are you going to report that you used this type of fire extinguisher or you were able to extinguish the fire already? So, you just mentioned that the fire in the galley has been extinguished. Okay? So, in reporting, like in the galley area, if the fire is extinguished already, you mentioned that. Or, if the fire is already under fire control, you mentioned that also. Or, if it's still ongoing, okay, you mentioned that also. Alright? And if it's already clear, if it's already all in back to a normal condition, you include that also in your report. That bridge, this is your MV Atlantic Endeavor, all clear, we are back at normal condition. We are checking and making it safe. Standby condition, thank you, over. Okay? That's how are you going to report, especially in the galley area. Okay. Emergency scenarios or situations. So, emergency scenarios, this is the maritime emergencies range from fires, like collisions, to severe weather conditions or oil spills. Those are emergency scenarios. Okay, those are different maritime emergency scenarios. So, immediate protocol to this requires a sounding the alarm, right? And then, if it's a fire, or whether if it is in a bad weather condition, or like collisions or oil spills, you have to close all the watertight doors. Okay, and then you instruct right away that all crew must go to the master station. Okay, not just like the crew. For example, if you are into a passenger a passenger ship, no? So you right away inform them that they will go to the master station. Okay? And for example, the master will go right away to the bridge, no? And then he will transmit a mayday call. And then he will update and coordinates with using his or your satellite beacon or your different or your other emergency equipments. Okay? So those are different emergency scenarios that are very, very common on board. So first here, if you're into a passenger ship, okay, we call it a passenger ship fire, right? This one, this type of fire breaks out on a vessel carrying large number of travelers, or like a cruise ship or a passenger ferry. Okay? So because of the sheer size of the ship and the number of people present or on board, this is considered as one of the most challenging emergencies in the maritime industry because there's a lot of lives present. Isn't it our first thing to do is to save lives? And if you are into a passenger ship fire, this is really challenging to all the rescuers and to the crew. Okay, this is one of the fire scenarios. Okay, another. Yes, this one, the tanker fire. Tanker itself is carrying hazardous materials. Imagine a tanker carrying an oil, a chemical, or a gas tanker. It is extremely hazardous because the cargo is highly flammable. And anytime the vapors can ignite or explode. So this type of fire, the tanker fire, is extremely dangerous or hazardous. Okay? It's deadly. Because you're already carrying a hazardous materials. Okay, another is a container ship fire. This occurs like the cargo hold fire, remember? This is cargo containers carried on deck or in the cargo holds, right? So fires may be caused by misdeclared cargoes or dangerous goods like the lithium batteries. Okay? Like for example, if you are boarding a plane, isn't it that they will keep on reminding us that no no lithium batteries or no what do you call this power banks should be placed in your check-in baggage. That's one of the safety measures of the aviation industry. Never to put power banks or lithium batteries in your check-in baggages. Isn't it that they will allow you to just hand carry your power banks? It's because that's the one way of preventing fire. Because in the check-in area of the airplane, it's enclosed and heat may cause fire. So here, one reason why there's a container ship fire because of the misdeclared dangerous goods like the lithium batteries. Chemical reactions may occur or through the electrical faults. So a part of this may be an a human error. Alright? So next is The bulk carrier fire. Yes. This one. Bulk carrier. Basically, a bulk carrier, some carries coal, right? Grain, or wood chips, or ores. And these cargoes are self-heating cargoes. And they ignite spontaneously. Once they ignite, they produce these toxic gases. And it will create a dangerous condition within the cargo holds. So we have to be very careful. We have to be, you have to think of the safety, because these are easily self-heating cargoes. Coal, the grain, wood chips, or ores. So they are called bulk carrier fire. Okay? Another is, that's it. So, the fire drills and team communication. Let's go to the part 4 of our day 2 lesson. Okay. Why fire drill is important? Why do we have to conduct this one on board? Okay. First is, it prepares the crew for emergencies. Alright? And then, by doing fire drill, not just fire drill, there are also other drills on board that is conducted. And first is, it prepares the crew for emergencies. Right? And the second way, why it is important to conduct a fire drill is that here, we can assess ourselves. Really, we can. We can assess ourselves if we know how to conduct, or if we know how to use these equipments. We can now identify our weaknesses. Right? We can identify right away if we were able to don the personal protective equipment properly. Right? So, by doing fire drill, we can prepare ourselves, we can identify our weaknesses, and by doing that constantly on board, we can now build confidence to ourselves. There's a muscle memory that they call whenever you make or you do these things always, it builds or it stays in our memory. So, when the actual situation of emergency comes, we can right away do the proper way on how to handle emergency situations. Right? If we kept on doing the drills, the different types of drills on board, we can prepare ourselves, we can identify our weaknesses, and after that, we can build confidence. Now, because whenever there's an actual fire scenario, it's automatic that we can do our responsibilities. Okay? We know what to do right away. Okay? So that's the importance of fire drill. Okay. Let's talk about the fire team. They are the ones who are well-trained crew. So the team leader, the nozzle man, the hostman, and the communicator or the safety officer comprises the fire team. Okay? So the team leader, he's the one who directs firefighting operations. Okay? He commands. And he maintains communication with the bridge. And also, after the fire, he is the one who conducts damage assessment. But his priority is the safety of the team. Okay? That's the responsibility or the duty of the team leader. Now, let's go to the nozzle man or the nozzle man. Okay. He is the one who aims the fire hose directly to the fire. Okay? Now, he controls the water jet. Okay? As you can see here, he is the one who attacks the fire at the source. Okay? And protects the team and protect the team in advance. Okay? The nozzle man. So, after the team leader orders that the nozzle man right away will go directly to the fire location with all the PPEs, of course. And then, it's just here, he's not wearing a mask, right? He should have that. And then, after that, next to him are the hostman. Okay? The hostman, or man, supports the nozzle man. Okay? They manages the hose slack, they assist the hose advancement, and maintains the water supply to nozzle. Okay? So, if we have a team leader here, nozzleman is also a team leader of these two hostmen. Okay? These two supports the nozzleman. Okay. Now, after that, we have what we call the communicator or the safety officer. So, after the fire, after putting out the fire, the communicator or the safety officer records everything, all what happened. And then he will monitor the team. Okay, the air supply of them. And then he will relay, okay, the messages to the team leader. Alright? And also he will check the secondary hazards that may occur. Okay? So, this fire team comprises of the team leader, the nozzle man, the hose man, and the communicator or the safety officer. Okay? So, alright. Now, for the master procedure, the evacuation area. Okay. Once you were able to hear the alarm, go right away to the master area. Okay, whenever you hear these 7 short blasts and 1 long blast, that is a fire alarm. So stop all your work immediately. Proceed to the master station. You don your PPEs. your life jackets, everything properly, and proceed to the muster station. And in the muster station, the leader will check. Okay? He will check if all the crew are present. And if someone or if one crew is missing, he will right away inform the captain that one of the crew is missing. Okay? The reason why we have to go right away to the muster station is for the leader to head count of the crew if the crew is complete. And then after that, if worst comes to worst, evacuation is needed, you just follow the escape routes or routes. Okay? You embark the survival craft, assist whenever help is needed, and you have to stay calm and just follow the crew instruction. Alright? Okay. The chain of command. So, once you discovered that there is fire, okay, then you were able to identify the cause of this, immediately sound the fire alarm, and then report right away. You state your location of the fire, you state what type of incident is happening, the severity of the situation after sounding the alarm. And then, the officer of watch will acknowledge your report. Okay? And then, he will also, he will log everything. And then, the bridge team or the master will do the external communication to the shore side, and he will report the incident to company DPA. Okay? Now, so this is the communication chain. All right. So next, okay, how are we going to report the process using the SMCP? Okay. So the step 1 is the incident discovery, right? So you will identify the hazard, and then you identify the location. You use a clear, concise language. You mention the severity of the situation, and then you report it to the officer of watch. Okay? So, the officer of watch will acknowledge the receipt, your message. And whenever he needs a clarification, he will just say again, and then he will determine the immediate action. And then after that, the situation report or the C-TREP, okay? The C-TREP, you have to compile everything. You report it to the company or to the shore authority. And then you now request if you need a specific assistance. Okay? And then, if it's incident resolved already, you have to mention that also. So, the key SMCP phrases here is, like for example, I require assistance. Okay? If you need, you also use the vessel on fire. If there is fire like this. And also you mentioned that no person injured. So the position is longitudinal, how many degrees, or shall we say the position is at the deck 3 of the galley. Okay, we mentioned that. And then state nature of emergency. What causes the fire actually is the meaning of this. Okay? And another is I am under command. Okay? So those are the examples of SMCP words. Okay? So let's go to accountability. Master station reporting. Okay. So isn't it that after you discover the fire, you sound the alarm, you reported it to the bridge, okay? And then, worst comes to worst, you go to the muster station. Because, why? Muster station is where all the personnels are present. And you will be counted one by one. Okay? If all are present, there will be no problem. But if someone is missing, report it immediately. Even one personnel is missing. Notify the master right away or the officer of the watch. Through the master list, you will know right away who is missing, if there is. So you have to initiate the search and rescue right away if you are safe to do so. Okay? So master station is where we will all be accounted. Okay. Next is, after that, we have what we call the debriefing. The incident review and learning. Yes. During the briefing, you discuss everything what happened. You review all the performance. You identify whether it is successful or not. Because this is where we can improve. During the briefing, this is where we improve what we have learned during the incident or during the drill. And through that, we can update the safety management system. So debriefing is very important. Okay? How we handle the situation, if the fire team handle the situation properly, no? So that is very important. The debriefing time, okay? The incident review and learning. Alright. So, the best practice really is an effective fire drill situation. So, a realistic drill, okay, is very important. And also, the use of everything from the radio down to how we report the incident, how we do the fire alarm sound. So, this is very important if we will do a fire drill scenario on board. Alright? So, practical communication and assessment. So, these are all the examples, okay, of fire emergency dialogue. The transmission, okay, the identification, the engine room, like for example, we'll report bridge, engine room, major fuel fire, evacuating now. Okay? And then the master will receive the information or will identify, hand steering, verify all personnel accounted for, preparing to transmit Mayday, and then mention the call sign. So these are all the example of a fire emergency dialogue. Another is the position and the nature of distress. You have to mention that. Your position, if it is latitude, how many degrees, longitude, how many degrees, away from the corridor island or what island you are near, okay? And also, you have to mention the nature of distress. If it is a major fire in the engine room, if the propulsion is disabled, no? Or if the fire is currently uncontained, you have to mention everything, the nature of distress. And also, the personnel and casualties. You have to mention the number of persons on board. And then, you mention also that there is no casualties because that is our number one aim. Okay? Also, don't forget to mention how you are going to end the conversation or if ever you need an assistance, okay? You mentioned the require immediate firefighting assistance or tag assistance. And don't forget to mention the word over in closing the conversation or the information. Alright? So, the standard radio format is also important. No? So, the transmission, you have to repeat it 3 times. Mayday, mayday, mayday. And then you identify the vessel. Okay. After identifying the vessel, you have to mention also your ship's name, your call sign, and your IMO number. And then the position. Okay, and then the incident, the nature of distress. How many personnels are present? Okay? Or if there's casualties or injuries, you mention that. And then in closing, okay, you have to mention the word over, meaning you are ending your call, mayday call. Alright? So, the radio, do's and don'ts. Yeah, you have to speak clearly and slowly. Use standard format, the SMCPs. Okay, you keep the messages short and to the point, direct to the point. And then you have to confirm important messages. And use your unit or identifier at all times. Who you are. Alright? Now, please do not use codes or nicknames. Don't repeat unnecessary words unless needed. Okay? Now, don't block the channel with long talks. And don't assume always that it's confirmed. Alright? These are all very important. Okay. So, as we all know that practice makes perfect, so the key communication principles is you have to be very clear, you have to be concise, you have to be timely, and we have to be professional. Okay, so practice makes perfect. Okay. So, all these words are fire terms and pronunciation. So, if it's fire, it is fire. If it's smoke, it's pronounced as smoke. The flame, evacuate, extinguisher, the hose line, the incident commander, the mayday, over, and out. So speak clearly. Use standard terms only. And always confirm the important messages. Alright? Okay. So, there are common communication errors. So, all this. Okay? You're speaking too fast. You're talking over another person. You're not identifying yourself. You're using unclear locations. You're giving incomplete informations. And you use slang or unofficial codes. All of these are common communication mistakes. Alright?
Port service. This is Motor Vessel Korea. How do you read me? Over.
Motor Vessel Korea. This is port service. Go ahead. Over.
Port service. I am on fire in engine room in position 32 degrees. 15 minutes north. 128 degrees. 24 minutes east. Over.
Korea. Is fire under control? Over.
Port service. Fire is not under control and danger of explosion. Over.
Korea. What kind of assistance required? Over.
Port service. Korea requires firefighting and medical assistance. Over.
Korea. We will send firefighting boat and medical service boat. And how many crew members were killed and injured? Over.
Port service. No crews were killed and 5 crews were injured. Over.
Korea. Your message understood. You must stand by channel 16 and 12. Over.
Stand by channel 16 and 12. Out.
Alright. That is, excuse me, that is an example of the role playing. Alright. So, alright. So, let's go to our question and answer. So, now what is the first action after discovering a fire? What is your first thing to do? It's going to raise the alarm. Yes, you have to raise the alarm right away in order to inform that in order to inform the crew that there is an ongoing fire. Okay? That is the first thing to do. Okay. Now, second, who should be informed immediately after the alarm is raised? So, it should be the bridge. Yes. So, the second step after alarming the alarm or after sounding the alarm is to inform the bridge. Alright? And then, after that, why should the ventilation be shut down during a fire for number 3? Alright, that's very simple. Why should the ventilation be shut down during a fire? Of course, to stop the fire from spreading, right? As explained earlier, you have to shut down the fire. You have to shut down the ventilation during fire to stop it from spreading. Okay. What does SMCP stand for? Okay, it stands for the Standard Marine Communication Phrases. Alright? So, next is for number 5. Okay, which is the correct fire report message? Okay, it's letter. So which one do you think is the correct report message? It's fire in the engine room. Yes, that's fire in the engine room. Okay, for number 6, what is the importance of fire drill? Okay, of course, why do you think it's important? Why do we have to conduct fire drill always on board? It's because to prepare the crew for emergencies. Okay? That's the importance of fire drill. Okay? In order for us to be familiarized, in order for us to have confidence and ready for the actual scenario. Okay. Now, which of the following are not common mistakes in communication? Alright, it's understanding the other person. They are not common, or it is not a common mistakes in communication. Understanding the other person. Because if you understand each other, that will not be a mistake, right? Okay. So, next is, where should the crew gather during an emergency? Okay, where should we go after hearing the alarm sound? Of course, it's in the master station, right? This is where we are well accounted, all the crew, right? So, we have to go directly to the master station. And then for number 9, what should be done after the fire is extinguished? So, it should be, you have to conduct a debriefing. Yes, you have to conduct debriefing. And then the last number is for number 10, why is team communication important during a fire emergency? Why is it important? Of course, we have to make sure that a safe and coordinated response is done by the team. So team communication is important during a fire emergency to ensure a safe and coordinated response. Okay? Okay, all right. So, we are now done with our maritime English lesson. And I want to express my sincere appreciation, of course, to all of your time, your focus, and your excellent participation for today, trainees. Okay? And to all our officers, thank you for your leadership and for setting a strong example. Your presence and support reinforce just how vital effective communication is for you maintaining the safety, your command, and your harmony on board. And also to all our trainees, congratulations on your successfully completed this session. Okay? And then you work hard for this, you engage with the material, and you step out of your comfort zones. Every word practiced here and every phrase learned today is a step forward or a step toward becoming a more confident trainee and a capable seafarer out of sea. Right? And so, we must also extend a final note or of gratitude to the Gimiang Shipping Seafarers Union. Okay? And it is because of their dedication to your continuous development that we were able to gather for this valuable training. And as you head back to your duties and prepare for your next voyages, please carry these lessons with you. Okay? And remember that clear communication is just as important as any physical tool on a ship. Really. It keeps the operations smooth. Right? It prevents accidents. Okay? And it brings everyone home safely. That is our top priority. So thank you for your hard work, your energy, and your dedication, trainees. I wish you all the safe voyages, a smooth seas, and a successful career ahead. Thank you, everyone. And congratulations once again. You've done your lesson for today. Alright, I'll see you all again a week after for another lesson all about Maritime English course. Okay? So I'm your teacher for today, Teacher Shelly. I'm now signing off. Have a good day, everyone.